There comes a time when you gotta make a choice to stand up or serve on bended knee. It's got a name, it's got a place in the USA called Sweet Liberty.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight and tell you how excited I am that you're here, not just because you're here to hear me speak, but because when you walk through that door, you joined a revolution that is growing across the country. We've been working on this issue for over 18 years to a lot of empty rooms, and suddenly that is changing. People are beginning to understand, beginning to hear, and beginning to react. And the audiences are growing. There are hundreds of meetings taking place across the country, just like this one tonight. And so, as I said, as you walk through that door, you have joined a revolution, whether you knew it or not. And I'm excited that you're here, and I thank you for it. To lay the proper foundation for our discussion on Agenda 21, let me begin with this quote by Ayn Rand from Atlas Shrugged. She said, quote, "When you see that trading is done not by consent, but by a compulsion, when you see that in order to produce, you need to obtain permission from men who produce nothing, when you see money flowing to those who deal not in goods but in favors, when you see your laws don't protect you against them but protect them against you, when you see corruption being rewarded and honesty becoming self-sacrifice, you may know that your society is doomed." And I believe that that is exactly where we will be headed with Agenda 21. Now, the official word is out about me. According to several newspaper reports from around the country, I am only here to spread wild conspiracy rumors and to scare you into fearing your own benevolent government. Guilty as charged. Well, you all know that something is very wrong in America. Every day, government at all levels grows more out of control, more intrusive in our personal lives, more of a threat to private property, all in total and flagrant disregard of the expressed will of the electorate. The fact is, Americans have grown to fear our own government. Life is getting harder. There is less optimism about the future. The once prominent phrase, American dream, seems to have dropped from our vocabulary. The reason? America is going through what Al Gore called a wrenching transformation of society. Well, what kind of transformation? What has changed? Where did this transformation originate, and how does it directly affect your daily life? The old structure of what was once the United States of America is being replaced with a new political and economic order that is drastically changing the very underpinnings of the nation. It is being done quietly, behind the scenes, without debates, without votes, and with no official announcement. Yet, this new ruling authority has become the official policy of the federal government and every state government, and is moving rapidly into nearly every city, town, and county in the nation. The ruling authority is called sustainable development, and its blueprint for transforming human existence is fully outlined in a UN document called Agenda 21. Now, I've had 18 years of experience studying every aspect of sustainable development and Agenda 21, and I have learned that it is an absolute threat to everything free Americans hold dear. Here's what I know. There is a new language taking over our government. The typical city council meeting discusses comprehensive development, density, historic preservation, and partnerships between city and private business. Civic leaders organize community meetings run by facilitators as they outline a vision for the town enforced by consensus. Free trade, social justice, consensus, carbon footprints, partnerships, preservation, stakeholders, land use, environmental protection, development, diversity, visioning, open space, heritage, comprehensive planning, critical thinking, and community service are all part of this new language. What are they really talking about? Where was such a language developed? Well, the term sustainable development was born on the pages of the United Nations document called Our Common Future, the official report of the 1987 UN World Commission on Environment and Development. As a result of this report, for the first time, the use of environmental protection and human development were tied to the age-old socialist goals of international redistribution of wealth. And that is the key to understanding the true purpose of sustainable development and all of its policies: control of all facets of the economy. And here's how the United Nations described Agenda 21 in one of its own publications in 1993 in an article entitled Agenda 21, the Earth Summit Strategy to Save Our Planet. Quote, Agenda 21 proposes an array of actions which are intended to be implemented by every person on Earth. It calls for specific changes in the activities of all people. Effective execution of Agenda 21 will require a profound reorientation of all humans, unlike anything the world has ever experienced. End quote. Have you ever heard a more powerful manifesto issued for the purpose of government? And yet, when you and I point it out and protest against it, we are attacked as fringe radicals. Well, here is the exact course that brought Agenda 21 to America and into your local community. At the top of the infrastructure, pushing sustainable development, is the United Nations Environmental Program, the UNEP. But the UNEP doesn't operate on its own. Influencing it are thousands of non-governmental organizations, or NGOs. These are private groups which seek to implement a special political agenda. Through the UN infrastructure, particularly through the UNEP, they have incredible power. And I should point out that a true NGO is a group officially sanctioned and certified by the United Nations to participate in these international efforts. It's not just a group that decides they're going to be an NGO. They have an application. It's about that thick they have to fill out, and they have to pledge that they will help implement UN policies, and then the UN sanctions them. So they are part of basically a UN citizens' army. Prior to the 1992 UN Earth Summit in Rio, these sanctioned NGO groups spent considerable time writing and creating the document that would be introduced to the world as Agenda 21. At the Earth Summit, nearly every head of state signed agreement to Agenda 21, including President George H.W. Bush. Agenda 21 is not a treaty that has to be ratified by the Senate. Rather, it's what's known as a soft law policy, a guideline that the nation agrees to implement through its own legislative process. And that's what makes it so difficult to follow the bouncing ball from the United Nations into your own community. President Bush, in signing the document, committed the U.S. to implement the policies of Agenda 21. Agenda 21 then gained huge momentum when in 1993, President Bill Clinton issued an executive order to create the President's Council on Sustainable Development and made it official U.S. policy.
There comes a time when you gotta make a choice to stand up or serve on bended knee. It's got a name, it's got a place in the USA called Sweet